All right, so today's video is we're doing this one for Joe. He knows who he is, one of the subscribers, and he's been watching for a while. Joe was curious about the orange Vise right there. So he was curious how much flexure we get in the what's supposed to be the solid backstop back there. The fixed side of the vise. How much flexure is there in that? So what we got to do is we got to clean this guy up since we pulled it out to do the 475 hole video, and I'll put a link to that up there. I think it is. We got to clean this guy up, and then what we'll do is we'll mount it in a machine on a table, probably on the Bridgeport, and we'll torque this guy down and see what kind of flexure we get out of that. So let's go ahead and clean it up. I don't know how many videos there are out there on this, but I thought it would be interesting to just go through what it takes to break one of these guys down and clean it up. First time I've ever done it, so here you go. These are pretty cool. They retain the jaws basically. There we go. So you can see there's a pin dowel right there, fits into a slot, and then it's full of chips. So yeah, this is why we're doing this. Take it apart, clean it up. I've never had these apart. I assume this comes right out. It does. So we'll clean those up as well. Same back here. Sorry if I'm in the way. There we go. That one's a little cleaner, but not much. All right, now let's see. I think it only takes 3 tools to do this. This is a 5/32, and then 1/4 inch. And I say 3 because I use a T-handle and a regular Allen key. But this side's loose. What you do is you bring this side down tight and then just back off ever so slightly from tight. That is the directions anyway. So we just back that set screw off and this guy comes right out. And this is a plunger, a spring-loaded plunger is what that set screw is actually. So there is that piece. And of course I can put it here or I can put it here, depending on what I need. With one component that I have, I can add that into any one of these spots, and this then, by loosening this back here, this becomes a 2-station vise. And then back here on this one, loosen this guy up. There we go. Pinned and floating. So you can see how that works. These dowels have a little bit of oil, so they create quite a suction when you try to pull them out. There we go. I go slow. Nope. So here's what we'll do. We'll grab that dowel with this, pull it right out. Right on. Okay. And then what we're left with is this sliding assembly, which comes right out. Like so. And we'll wipe this down, blow it off. We'll coat it in LPS, and the same with the Vise body. And that's it for cleaning this thing. I'll probably go ahead and pull all of these set screws out just to clean the holes, clean the set screws, put them back in. I think they're there just to fill the hole, keep too much trash from accumulating inside there. Okay, even after the parts tank, there's still like a residue burned into the ground surfaces. So just gonna flood this with LPS and give it a wipe down. Hopefully I'm not shaking the camera too bad. Yeah, whatever that is, the discoloration, I cannot feel it whatsoever, but you can see it a little bit. It's not anything that is going to cause me to want to like stone the surface or anything. Not at this point. I mean, this thing was installed on the machine for a little bit over 6 months straight, never taken off, and never disassembled for cleaning. So I really just wanted to see how it would do, and I think it did just fine. So yeah, looks pretty darn good to me. So what we'll do, this was all blown off and now wiped down with some LPS 3, like I said, and it feels amazing actually. So now what we'll do is do the same thing to the slide here. This was parts cleaned, blown off, WD-40 the whole thing, and now I'm going to hit it with a little of this LPS 3. And just wipe it down. Of course, we'll get this in the machine and just flood it with coolant, and the coolant will also protect it from any sort of corrosion. That's one side. Okay. Now the set screw back here. If you can see that, there's a set screw back here. This obviously this is the front. This is the back. I'll show you what that set screw does here in a second. You can see this whole end pivots. Pivots about that pin right there. So that is used to lock the back down. So what we're going to do, generous with that, we're going to slide this right in the end. Just like so. Okay, now what we want to do is I'll flood these holes a little bit with a little of this LPS3. These are blind holes, so we don't want anything accumulated in there to corrode anything. All our screws are cleaned up. I am not going to run this in a two-station configuration, so we'll just plug up these holes. I believe what is recommended is to just pull this slide out and clean it when it's mounted. You know, either in a fixed base plate or in the machine. You can do that. You can see with 6 months of use, it still did not accumulate that much stuff. Okay. There, and we'll fill those two on the end like that. Okay, now all we've got to do is drop our dowels in. And you can see the fit on those. All right, now I got the fixed jaw here all cleaned up, hit with a light coat of WD, blown off WD again, and now we're going to go ahead and hit it with some of this. And give it a wipe down, maybe after we install it. There we go. It's pretty well coated. And this guy just drops on the dowels. The arrangement of dovetails here grabs this, and then the set screw locks it down, and then the combination of the set screw locking this, pulling this up, and pulling it down onto the pins holds everything in place. So this is still floating. I've just got the set screw snug, or the that jacking screw right there that I showed you earlier. Just like that. And then in the back, all we do is spin this screw in. snug that down, and that guy's locked in place. And I mean, literally, it looks as good as new. And back here, we clean these guys all out. Like that. Give them a good shot of this. Drop them in and get the thread started. Okay, here's our soft jaws. These are aluminum. This is what came with the vise. And like I said, there's a pin here that fits in, and then these guys lock it in. But I don't know if you can see it. I have got a little chunk of steel kind of lodged in that surface right there. So I'm gonna just stone this with a nice flat stone. Just gonna get that chunk of steel out of there, or at least flatten it off. Like so. Cannot feel it. We're nice and flat again. Top and bottom surfaces look great, so we're just going to run it like that. That guy locks in there. And then tighten these down. Quick change jaws. Really like this setup. All right, there is no difference between these two pieces. This one has just been my sliding jaw, or my front jaw, whatever you want to call it, so I'm going to remain that way. Straight out of the parts tank, hose down with WD, blown, hose down again, and now we're kind of wiping it with some LPS, spraying it in all the surfaces. Kind of wiping off the excess, spreading it around. Looks pretty good. Probably hard to see, but it's a machine surface on top, black oxide coated kind of all around, but a machine surface on top. And I'm going to go ahead and work on this a little bit. There's a little bit of pitting back here. So what I'm going to do, I've got a little worn out Scotch-Brite here. So I've got some LPS on there, and I'm just going to hit this with a little Scotch-Brite to take that pitting, whether that's corrosion or something that's just adhered to the surface. I'm not sure, but I want that to be very, very smooth. And yeah, that did wonders right there. Worn out Scotch-Brite, very light pressure with oil. Looks like $1,000,000. Yeah, and cleaned that right up. So it's quite nice. All right. Now this guy, ready to go in. We'll give him a good coat. And I'm going to lock him into maybe the front. So you back that plunger set screw off. You can see right there the springiness of it. And the instructions say to lock it down till it bottoms and then just crack it, back it off loose. And I believe that's the setup right there. These guys again. Make sure all the debris is out. Yeah, they look pretty good. Got a little piece of debris right there. I can show you. This, it looks like right there. Probably a flathead bolt, and it's retained by a C-clip that likes to grab little chunks. So I'm just trying to get those out. And there it goes. Hose that down real good. That drops in there. Make sure that's generously coated as well. More of those little chips. Okay, looks pretty good. Right on. And this is my other jaw. I've already hit this in the machine a couple of times with a stone just to make sure. There it is again. Extremely flat. It's pretty good. We'll give her a coat. And drop it in. And that's it. These don't have to be crazy tight. That's it right there. Orange vise is cleaned up, and we're gonna go ahead ready to mount it. And you know, we'll clamp something in here and we'll put an indicator on this and see how much it moves. I don't know. Joe was worried about that, and I'm curious. Perhaps he's seen that that's an issue. So there we go. Okay, it is the next day, and I'm on the website here for Orange Vise, and I've got their parts list, hardware, and torque values shown right here. And what we're concerned with is to make sure I've got number 17 here torqued properly, and also that we're not applying too much torque to the screw, to the main screw, number 4 there. So number 4, the primary shaft screw, they've got listed at 120 foot-pounds max. Okay, so we'll, you know, I'm not going to run this thing at max pressure, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. 120 foot-pounds. That's the max. I think we'll go 110. We'll go 110 foot-pounds. And our torque wrench is calibrated, by the way. And number 17 is this little plunger that locks the fixed side down. Number 17 is spring plunger. Dual station, they want it backed off an 1/8 of a turn. And single station, they want it at 5 foot-pounds, 60 inch-pounds. I've got that preset already. So let's go look at what we've got for a setup here. Okay, here it is, all cleaned up and mounted down on the table. I'm using their pretty nice little hold downs. These are torqued down like 30 foot-pounds, pretty good. I'm using some parallels to simulate the low or the work being up higher in the jaws. And like I said, in the back side back here, I've got that set screw, that spring plunger torqued to 5 foot-pounds, 60 inch-pounds. So this should be all set, ready to go. I've got a nogue on here with an indicator, and what we'll do is we'll set that at 0 and torque this guy down. I'm using this big torque wrench, and a 3/4 inch socket. All right, here's our snap-on torque wrench, and there's 100 right there. So that's 100. Nine. It's 110. There's 120 right there. Got the 0 mark right on. All right, so we're set for that. I'm just going to take up some slack. Just let the wrench hold its weight down on the screw. Okay, so that's good there. I will go ahead and make sure this is set at 0. There we go. And I'm going to give this some pressure. Here we go. Here we go, pushing down. Right there. 120 foot-pounds, and I show 3 thou on this Fowler indicator right here. So there is deflection in that fixed jaw. I'll go ahead and swap out to my other wrench to loosen this now. And it returns back to 0. There we go. So there you go. Just to make sure that this is repeatable, take the torque wrench back, and here we go. Right there. 3 thou. Now to be fair, this is back to 0. This wrench right here, or this ratchet, this is the only thing I've ever used. So this is a 3/8 drive, snap-on, 3/4 inch socket, and a short extension. This is all I've ever used to tighten this thing. And I've done some precarious stuff. But the most pressure I've ever used, if I don't even look at the indicator, don't even look at that, most pressure I've ever used is about right there. This thing has a very positive stop. Like, it gets very tight when you get right down there. And if I look, I have 0 deflection. So what does that mean? You know, if I really get after that, and I'm talking, it's got some weight on a 3/4 inch ratchet, I have 1 thou of deflection. Maybe some of you guys are tightening things tighter than I am, but that works for me. As tight as I'm comfortable going, I can get 1 thou max. And typically I see no deflection then. So that's the story there. Let's try it one more time. It's about 1/2 thou. Okay, that video was for Joe. He asked a question in comments on the orange Vise video I did a while back, and I'll put a link to that. right up there. Thanks, Joe. It got me thinking. His question was, is there any deflection in that fixed jaw? There is. I mean, if you're really getting after this thing, there is. It's repeatable, if that matters, if you're using a torque wrench like you probably should be doing. And if you're just snugging things the way I've always done it, you know, with that typical, however long that typical vise handle is that comes on all the Kurtz, I think you're going to be just fine with no deflection. But yeah, that was a great test. It was a great idea to do a little video. I hope it helps anybody who's considering buying an orange. It is a beautiful product. It's very well made. The customer service is awesome. I've called once or twice asking, you know, like what kind of Mighty Bite clamps are designed to go right in the floating and fixed jaws, and instant response. Yeah, I can't recommend enough. Surface finishes are awesome. It's held up very well. It was mounted in my machine, like I said, for over 6 months. Never touched, never cleaned. That's kind of abusive, but I just wanted to see how well it would fare. Did quite well. Everything's still smooth and free, so the seals are good. Yeah, it's a great product, I think. I'm happy with my purchase. It was quite expensive, but yeah, I think it's worth it. It's much nicer. The feel when you cinch down on a part on a Kurt, it feels smushy. This thing gets tight instantly. There's the feeling of no flex whatsoever in this vise, and I kind of like that. So anyway, I'm gonna put my email address. Everybody's got it anyways. It's all over the place. Here's my email address. Joe, send me an email. And I'll ship you out a hat. Got a Go Engineer hat here, so if you're a CAD guy at all, you'll appreciate that maybe. I'll ship you a hat out. Thanks for the idea for doing this video. I hope it helps, and stay tuned, and we'll have more coming.